Now, during my late teens and early 20s, I traveled the globe with a certain youth ministry. But around age 24, I decided it was time to settle down, get a real job, and come back to the family farm. And it was during my first summer back, summer being the busiest time of the year for farming, came the realization that I hadn't actually set foot off of the farm property in over several weeks. I mean, just prior to that, I had been traveling the globe, meeting people from all walks of life, doing great things for God. And now there I was, confined to 200 acres of land, with the only people who I really met on a daily basis being those of my immediate family. How could I possibly serve God under such circumstances? Hey everyone, this is Mark Leeming from Segue to Reason, where you can learn right now things that have often taken me many years to learn myself. Now, full disclosure here, my career move to become a dairy farmer, well, it didn't really last all that long. I quickly realized that even though I had grown up on a farm, farming just wasn't for me. Nevertheless, I walked away from that experience learning one important lesson. And that was that although I may have been physically limited to those 200 acres, God wasn't. Here's what I mean. Fortunately, leading up to that summer on the farm, I had been studying the life of the Apostle Paul. Now, when it comes to the New Testament, other than Jesus, Paul would be the most important person. After all, much of the New Testament is comprised of his writings. Now, what many don't realize is that during Paul's lifetime as an apostle, when he was doing all these great things for God, very little of it was spent in what we would consider full-time ministry. Most of the time, Paul was either holding down a full-time job as a tent maker and preaching on the sidelines, or he was in prison because of all the great things that God was doing through him. Now really think about what I just said. One of the greatest missionaries, evangelists of all times who planted churches throughout the Roman Empire largely did that while holding down a secular job or was doing a lot of this evangelism from within a prison cell. Now, if that doesn't blow your mind, I don't know what else will. Especially his imprisonments. If it wasn't for him being imprisoned, he wouldn't have been able to share the gospel to high-ranking officials both in Jerusalem and in Rome, people who otherwise would have never have come into contact with the gospel at all. And the book of Acts ends off on this very positive note that even though he was under house arrest and couldn't go anywhere, God brought multitudes of people to him so that he could share the gospel with them. Now, clearly, Paul had a unique calling upon his life. And for the record, when I was on the farm, I never had multitudes of people coming to me to hear the gospel. Nevertheless, it made me realize that it wasn't about me. It wasn't about my circumstances. It's all about God's will and his purposes. And now here I am many years later, married with 5 kids, holding down a full-time job. And you, along with others, literally all around the world, are watching this video that I've been able to produce absolutely free. If back on the farm that summer, someone would have told me that this is what I'd now be doing, I would have thought of them as being absolutely crazy. So what about you? Maybe you're a stay-at-home mom, a homeschool mother, a university student, a construction worker, a factory worker, a senior in a senior's home. And you may be thinking to yourself, well, what possible use can I be to God in a situation such as this? But please remember that the God of the universe is not limited to your situation or your circumstances. If he's calling you to do something, then he will make it happen. Because it's not about you. It's not about me. It's about him. Hey, thanks so much for watching this video. If you know anyone who would benefit from it, please share it with them. Segue to Reason is still a very small YouTube channel. I simply don't have any sponsors or the financial means to do a lot of advertising for these videos. So I'm really dependent upon you, the viewer, to let other people know. And if you feel that I've earned your subscription, please subscribe. It's free, of course, and or follow me on Facebook. Links in the description down below. Thanks so much.